Okay, well, it looks like we're still missing a few people, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Hello and welcome everyone to our March Arts and Culture Accessibility Cooperative meeting. My name is Natalie Webb, and I'm the Art and Accessibility Coordinator with MindsEye. I'm very new, still Art and Accessibility Coordinator with MindsEye. I'll be your facilitator today. I'm a 30-year-old white woman with long brown hair. Some housekeeping items as we get underway. This webinar will be recorded. The recording will be emailed to all registrants in a few days. Along with the recording, you'll also receive a list of resources. The video will be available on MindsEye's YouTube channel as well. Today, we'll be using the Q&A box. Oops, excuse me. We'll be using the Q&A box as well as the raise your hand function. Please feel free to go ahead and drop your questions into that Q&A box as we go. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can at the end. Also at that time, you may raise your hand if you would like to speak, and we will permit you to turn on your microphones. Closed captions are available via communication access real-time translation. Just select the CC button on your bottom toolbar. We have American Sign Language interpreters with us as well. They will be spotlighted to ensure they remain on screen throughout the webinar and for the recording. Live audio description is also available. Please use the Live Voice app, code 803127. I'll post a QR code for that shortly. Chat to everyone has been disabled due to its interference with screen readers. You may still chat directly with hosts or panelists. If you are already a member of our Facebook group, if you aren't already a member of our Facebook group, you can find us at facebook.com/groups/ACACSTL. And here is that QR code for the audio description. It's in the center of your screen. You can scan that and it will take you to a page where there will be two options. You can either download the app or you can select join in browser. If you select the browser option, it will autofill a code for you, and then you just select join live event. If you already have the Live Voice app, you can just enter this code and it will take you to our audio description. And that code again is 803127. We'll drop that code into the chat as well. We would like to acknowledge that MindsEye is located in Belleville, Illinois, the ancestral lands of many people, including those commonly known as the Quapaw, Miamia, Osage, Kaskaskia, and Kickapoo. We also acknowledge those who pass near our area during their forced removal, including the Cherokee, Delaware, Sac and Fox, and Shawnee. The process of knowing and acknowledging the ground beneath our feet is a way of honoring and expressing gratitude for the people on this land before us. This is a map of the St. Louis area with several overlapping colors, each representing a different nation that lived on this land before us. You can find the interactive map at native-land.ca. We have an amazing presentation for you today. And so without further ado, it will take most of our time. I'm going to turn it over to our speaker, Natasha. Natasha is the Deaf-Blind Project Coordinator at Missouri School for the Blind, driven by her passion for helping others learn and grow to experience their whole self. She brings the principles of universal design for learning and inclusion to systems. She touts the benefits of all forms of access, and her transdisciplinary approach is the foundation for everything she does. Natasha, we're so glad to have you with us today. And without further ado, I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hey, I'm sorry, Natasha, right before you start talking, this is Megan. I think the participants can only see Natalie. I can see Hannah and Natasha, but I'm getting word that no one else is seeing Hannah or Natasha. If that is accurate, someone let me know. Angela is saying she can't see anyone else, so we might need to
adjust.
How about now? I just put a spotlight. Just Natasha. Okay. How about now? Hopefully you are seeing Natasha and Hannah. No. Okay, now what do you got? Natalie, can you stop your screen share for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what do we have? Okay, but now Natasha's going to start her screen share. And we'll see what happens from there.
It's telling me that I have screen share disabled. It's
fine, everybody. I gotcha. All right, now try it again, Natasha.
There we go. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, now I've got Hannah. I've got everybody. All right, now they say no Hannah. Okay. Hold on. Not that I don't trust Angela, but is this what everyone else is seeing too? Because this is what I've got. I could see all of them. Anyone? Well, we've got the screen share and Natasha. Let's see what else we can do. Sorry, folks, hold please. How about now? Yeah, everybody is in active speaker only mode. So they're only going to get Natasha. Let's see what else we can do. Do you have any other options, Natalie, that I don't have?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, how about now? I'm changing everything that I can possibly think of right now. Well, folks, the recording will have ASL, hopefully, because I can see everyone fine.
What if we pin Hannah and unpin me because they don't necessarily need to see just my talking head?
Let's see. What? Oh, now I made it worse.
Just a thought.
Now your screen share is tiny and you're huge.
We'll remove.
Okay. How about, oh wait, no, I still have to unpin you. So you all don't have the option at the top of your screen where it says you're viewing Natasha's screen and view options. And then you can choose side by side.
They also should be able to right click on the interpreter and pin.
Can you try that, Angela? Try to click on Hannah. Not on the three dots in Hannah's window. Yeah, Sheila's saying the same thing, that she's got the PowerPoint and Natasha. Well, folks, it's 9:15. This is a new problem. We've not had this we haven't had this problem before.
Sorry. Fixing something here on my end real quick.
Laura also says she doesn't have a gallery option. Yeah, Natasha, I say whenever you're ready, we just go with it.
All right.
And
awesome.
apologies to everyone.
Okay, for the ASL interpreter's sanity and not having to spell my name out all the time, I do have a sign name. It's a combination of the hand shape for the letter N with the movement and placement for the sign SMART. So I recognize my name is long, so giving you all my sign name is the courteous thing to do for folks who want to use it. So welcome, everybody. As Natalie said, my name is Natasha, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I received my graduate certificate in diversity, equity, and inclusion from the University of Southern Florida, actually during the pandemic. So bonus of the pandemic, I got to explore something I'd always wanted to explore. I am an individual with multiple disabilities, primary disability being blindness, and I work in spaces of intersectionality. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about the foundations of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because before we can begin work in DE&I, we have to understand what it is we're actually working towards and what each one of those things are. There we go. So I'm a teacher at heart, And so I never start a presentation without learning objectives. So in this presentation, we seek to define diversity, equity, inclusion, or DEI, identify the importance and benefits of DEI, and provide a tool for self-reflection. And we won't actually spend really any time with that tool today. It's something for you all to take forward as you move through the world as a steward of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what is diversity? Diversity, it asks the question, who is in the room? And we need to know who is in the room before we can begin acting, since we know our audience. Diversity is any dimension that can be used to differentiate groups of people from one another. And historically, I do need to acknowledge that this is the exact thing that has been used against minority groups. So right here, coming out and saying, I'm a member of this diverse community is a very vulnerable act. On the screen, I have a little bit of a complex table here that's going to talk about the different things that might influence the diversity in an audience. There are internal factors, external factors, organizational factors, and worldview factors. Some of these are going to come more easily in our understanding than others. So those internal things like race, age, national origin, ethnicity, culture, etc. These are things that are inside of us that may be able to be presumed by external characteristics, but that cannot be done safely. External factors are things like appearance, citizenship, geographic location, family status. Organizational things are things like job function, management status, even work location. And then worldview are going to be those larger things. And the one I particularly want to draw your attention to is historical knowledge. How much we know about what's happened in the past influences our perspective on the future. So why is diversity important? Diversity is something that when we encourage it, it increases everybody's availability. It increases creativity and what we really are able to do in a space. Differentiation of thought brings us to new places. A diverse team encourages and enhances participation. So when there are multiple people in the room who come from different places, who have different backgrounds, the results of what happens in that room are vastly different. Benefits of diversity. So they address social determinants and really those things in our social world that are different from each other. That's all that means. I talk about some other aspects here on this slide, including the fact that one of the benefits is boosting creativity. We like to think of something like creativity as an individual task, an individual thing that happens in our own mind and really is done by one person. If you take it to group thought, creativity is much broader than what we can do as one person. We can come up with some really innovative ideas if we work together. And so diversity also increases our innovation. It increases our fuel and our fire for being able to do things. When we lose our individual motivation. The diversity in a group can increase our group motivation. So what is equity? Equity asks the question, who is trying to get into the room and can't? Equity reflects the fair and just treatment within circumstances, opportunities, and access to those opportunities for those of diverse backgrounds. It also increases access to resources for everyone. Providing equitable opportunities for access means that everybody has an equal opportunity to participate and become an active, engaged member of whatever that activity is. So equity versus equality. And this is a spot where a lot of people try to use these words interchangeably. I'm here today to tell you these are not the same thing. So equity means that everybody gets what they need and they have an equal opportunity to participate. Equality means that everybody gets the same thing, regardless of what their needs are. The big difference between getting what we need to participate and getting exactly the same thing. As a blind person, ASL interpretation does me no good on screen. But accessible interfaces that work with my screen reader make a big difference for me. And I can't address equity and equality without looking at justice. Because in the world that we live in today, DE&I has been linked with justice activities. Justice looks at equality and equity in different ways. It looks at equity as a way to break down those systemic barriers. And it looks at equality of bringing experiences up to the same level. The benefits of equity is that it increases the community's capacity for participation, learning, and engagement. It encourages solutions to access imbalances rather than just focusing on problems. And improves the foundation for a vibrant, healthy community. Because if the foundation is not set for a community that can be active and vibrant and engaged, nobody wants to participate. And if people don't want to participate, that community or activity can't improve. And even if it's fantastic and no one wants to engage with it, there was really no point in doing it. Energy is a non-renewable resource in a lot of ways. And if we're expending energy in ways that people don't want to engage, we are never going to get that piece of energy back. We're never going to get that time back. And so focusing on ensuring that everybody in the room has what they need to the best of our ability is critical, particularly as a steward of DE&I. It really focuses on outcomes rather than problems, solutions, if you will. The route to achieving equity will not be accomplished by treating everyone equally. It will be accomplished by treating everyone justly according to their circumstances. And that's a quote from the book Race Matters, roughly around 2014. If you haven't explored that book and looked at it from a framework of not just race, but replacing race with whatever minority characteristic resonates with you, It's a really interesting and engaging read. So, what is inclusion? Inclusion asks the question, has everyone been heard? So it's great to be in the room. It's great to have what you need. But if your voice is not heard, none of the rest of it matters. Inclusion is the achievement of work environments where everybody feels like they not just have a seat at the table, but they are able to speak up without fear or with as little fear as possible and have the access they need to opportunities and resources. And they can contribute to whatever that organizational success is. I want to point out here that inclusion and equity don't guarantee success. They guarantee equal access. Equal access also means the opportunity to fail. And failure is a scary thing, particularly when we start wrapping ego and self-confidence into these areas. We sometimes feel as members of minority groups or people trying to ally with minority groups that we have to continue to compensate for the things that knock down self-esteem and self-confidence. If we provide equitable, truly inclusive spaces, we build self-confidence and self-worth among our audience rather than trying to actively compensate for it. Because no matter what we do, we can't make up for others' hurts. We can only be the one who's not actively hurting. Why is inclusion important? Inclusion offers a sense of belonging. We all need this. We are social beings. We need to feel like somebody else is like me. There's somebody else who is a mirror of me in this space. Inclusion provides that safe space for collective thought, collective disagreement. All right, some of the components of DE&I, things to think about within yourself. So what's your identity? What's your own power and privilege? What are your biases? We all have biases. That is, what do we presume when we enter a situation, consciously or unconsciously, that influences how we interact with that situation and the people involved in that activity? Microaggressions. These are those little things that we do that just feel slightly off, slightly manipulative. They're not downright crossing the line, but they're walking on it and sticking a toe over every once in a while. Tokenism. This one happens way too often. That, oh, we need a person with all these different disability categories on this group, and we're going to go to that one person to get the information and make them speak for an entire group of thousands of people. That's not okay. Diversity of thought among minority groups is just as important within that single minority as it is to have multiple minorities represented in the space. Because everybody's experience is different. What I bring to even this presentation is going to be different than one of my USF colleagues who is also blind or visually impaired. And of course, cultural appropriation. And if you think you know what cultural appropriation is, I encourage you to go look it up again. because so often things get labeled as cultural appropriation when they're really not. Yes, cultural appropriation is vastly dangerous. Before we start calling it out, we need to make sure that we actually have our facts accurate. That really goes with anything on this list. Advocacy versus allyship in the area of DE&I is one of the most important differentiations we can make. So an advocacy asks the question, what can I do to help solve the problem? Advocates are fixers. They want to do for, take care of it so that other person doesn't have to worry about it. Allyship asks the question, how can I help you as you work to fix the problem? These are the people who are standing just behind the shoulders of those doing the grassroots work, saying, here I am, I support you, I add my voice to yours, rather than talking over or for you. Advocates do for, while allies do with. I'll say that again. Advocates do for, and allies do with. So what do you do with all of this? Conveniently, the word equity provides a nice acronym for you as you move forward on your personal and professional DEI journey. E, educate yourself. Learn what you need to know to be that person in the room who calls others out on their isms. Q, question yourself. When you leave an interaction, when you leave a space, when you organize a space, ask yourself, what did I do that was fantastic? Where did I miss the mark? Where are my implicit biases influencing the work that I do? Understand yourself as the you. This is hard. This never stops. Every day we work to understand ourselves internally and externally, where we place ourselves in the world. And this changes environment to environment, place to place. I, involve yourself. Don't just sit back and let somebody else counter that racist remark, that ableist remark. Call people out on their isms, even your friends and family. Do so with kindness and respect. But do the work. Get involved. T, transform yourself. If you're doing the rest of these, you are on a transformative process of self-reflection, self-growth, internal change, and ultimately systems change. And the why is yes and, not yes but. Say yes and. This validates the experience of others as a result of their diversity. It allows for multiple parallel truths and experiences. More than one thing can be true at the same time. This is a place of nuance. Challenge yourself, even in places of disagreement or misunderstanding, to say yes and. This is the slide with the self-reflection activity. This slide is available to you all, and I'm happy to also isolate it and send it to Natalie. These are some questions as you leave today to begin to explore what DEI means to you. What training have you had in the area of DE&I that helps you become a steward of these initiatives in the greater world? And where do you go to seek out further training? Because this isn't something that stops. Where are you involved in DEI initiatives? Does it stop when you leave the workplace? Or does it continue into your community, into your home? Because those are the hardest places. What are your experiences? Where are your intersectionalities? I am a cisgender woman with multiple disabilities. I'm also the daughter of immigrants. I can't separate those things from who I am. And what is the importance of DEI to you specifically? Do you embrace this as a part of your heart song? Or is this one of those boxes you check? Because DEI is not just a program that a company does. It's not just a project. It is a cultural initiative. We can all be stewards of diversity, equity, inclusion. And recognize that silence is action. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natasha.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you guys so much for bearing with us. Special thanks to our speaker, Natasha, for her incredible presentation, and to the amazing access providers we have with us today, including our ASL interpreters, Kayleen and Hannah from Deaf Inc., our CART interpreter, LaDonna from Hear Inc., and also MindsEye's own audio describer, April. We'd like to acknowledge our sponsors that make these forums possible, Ameren, Illinois, and Lighthouse for the Blind St. Louis. Additionally, MindsEye is proud to be a United Way of Greater St. Louis safety net partner. We've kept these meetings free, but we do incur costs. We're looking for sponsors to pay for speakers, ASL interpretation, live captioning, etc. If you would like to learn more, please email Laura for more information. We'll include that in the follow-up info. And I'm so sorry, it looks like we do have a question for Natasha already. Oh, a couple more coming in. How do you know when you're ready or have the competencies to move from allyship to advocacy? Is advocacy for everyone? How can you be an effective ally?
That sounds like another presentation.
Well, we'd love to have you back.
The answer, really in a nutshell, is you're ready today. It's scary. You have to be the one to nudge forward people who are members of the community for which you have that urge to speak. If you have the urge to advocate for something, the best thing you can do is get to know somebody from that community and get to know them well. And then ask them, how can I support you as you move through this world? How can I lift your voice? Because we're here and ready to tell you.
Excellent. And we have another one here. Can you speak to the different ways of being heard to further inclusion? I'm finding community theater is effective as well as writing.
Sure. And the ways to speak to, being heard are as diverse and diverse as there are humans in this world. What it feels like to be heard for me in this day and age is very different than what it felt like to be heard 5, 10, 15 years ago. It's an evolving process. And sometimes we flat out have to ask, do you feel heard? It's not a problem to ask the question. You have to be prepared to hear the no. No is always an acceptable answer. The next follow-up question then becomes, what needs to happen for you to be heard? And then that answer needs to be respected.
Wonderful. And are there any, this is a question coming from me actually, are there any sort of easy things you've seen institutions do that aid in that process, that make it easier for people to speak out and say, my needs aren't being met, or you can support me further in this way?
Usually those are associated with invites. I can often tell by the language used in an invite how open that organization or that experience is going to be to people of variety of diversity angles, as well as those of us who live in areas of intersectionality. Checking the tone, checking the verbiage, knowing your audience and your group, and knowing that person first language is wonderful, and it may not be that group's preference. Listen to how people talk about themselves. I identify as a blind person, not a person with a visual impairment. Somebody uses person with a visual impairment to describe me, I will correct them. So mirroring your language really opens that space, opens that opportunity. I also use the term access profiles as opposed to access needs, or inclusion profiles versus inclusion needs. Tiny word difference that shifts from a do for to a do with attitude.
Natalie, this is Megan. I have a question for Natasha. I was wondering your opinion on separating DE&I from accessibility. And all of these people have heard me say many, many times, there is no such thing as diversity, equity, and inclusion without accessibility. So whether you're actually using the A or if it is in your DEI, we sometimes have organizations that really want to separate that accessibility. And to me, that's not being inclusive if you have separated accessibility. So I was wondering your opinion on that and what you feel about that.
Ability is a form of diversity. If we separate it and put it in a different box, we are being discriminatory. And that is exactly the thing that is inequitable. It's exactly what we're working against. The word inclusion came from the disability and civil rights movement. If you separate disability from DEI, you no longer have an I.
Thank you, Natasha.
Yeah, that's wonderful Does anyone else have any other questions? Yes. Here we have another one. Is any DEI effort better than nothing? Can performative DEI initiatives be harmful? How can you identify and address performance versus true action?
That's difficult. Yes, any DEI effort is better than zero DEI effort. Ensuring that whatever you do is coming from a place of non-judgment and a place of learning and a place where you are ready to accept criticism and ready to hear that minority group you're working with say you screwed up. If you're not ready to hear that, you're not ready to large scale your DEI. Start your DEI in your personal life. Start it by calling your friends out on their isms. And if that's all your DEI effort is, you're still aiding to making this a better, more equitable, more inclusive world. If all you do and you go, that statement sounded ableist, this is how I heard it, and you open a discussion, you're doing DEI work, and it's enough.
Excellent. Love hearing your perspective on all of those. Are there any other questions before we close out for today? We'd love to, or comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I have here an example moving from slave to enslaved people.
It's a change of verbiage, if that's what the question is. So the one that we use a lot that has a lot of controversy around it is person with autism or autistic, capital A, autistic. And we as people who don't have that label, diagnosis, condition, can't be the ones saying which one is right and which one is wrong without consulting members of that community. Because like me saying, I'm a blind person, there are people who have the medical condition of autism who do want to be called autistic. It's not a bad word to them. Just like the word disability is not a bad word, and I get really frustrated with folks who try and call me differently abled, I have the same abilities as anyone else. I just do things differently.
Awesome, I completely agree. And certainly your comment on mirroring language is helpful in those situations, kind of let the individual themselves guide those preferences.
Listen more, talk less.
There you go. We still have time for maybe one or two more questions. If you haven't dropped them in the Q&A section yet, please do so.
I'll also acknowledge that this may feel really heavy right now. This was a lot to process. Take your time. Go back through these slides. Ask for them if you don't have them already. Please feel free to share those. Reach out to me with questions.
Absolutely, and we can definitely send those in our follow-up with some other resources as well. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and close out then. I don't see any other questions coming in. Oh, we have one last minute entry. What's the best way to respect both individuals who do and don't prefer person first language when we're talking about the communities our organizations serve?
I just go back and forth. That's my personal thing, is when I know that some of the people who may be listening to me prefer person first, I use that some of the time. And when I know people prefer something else, I use that some of the time. So the same presentation may contain both. The exception there is when a full community has made a very public statement that they don't want something worded a certain way. And then I make sure that that never comes out of my mouth.
And if you have a small network, how do you avoid tokenism when trying to bring in diverse voices?
Go to your regular person and ask them who else they know who can add their voice to the story.
That's a great tip.
We all know somebody else who's like us.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. Backtracking a little bit, we have managed to keep our meetings free, but we do incur costs. We're looking for sponsors always to help pay for speakers, ASL interpretation, live captioning, etc. If you guys would like to learn more about any of that, please email Laura. We'll also include that info in our follow-up email. If a sponsorship opportunity is not the right fit for you, but you're looking for another way to support accessibility within our local arts and culture landscape, please consider participating in MindsEye's Public Artwork Accessibility Project. This project aims to transform access to public art pieces through audio description. To get involved, all you need to do is snap a picture of a great public art find, like the mural on your favorite restaurant or shop, or that sculpture in the corner park across from your work, and submit it via the form on our website. You can use the large QR code located on the left-hand side of your screen, or we will send out the link to that page as well. This initiative is a small thing, but will have a big impact in our area, and we encourage you to get involved. And finally, we just, of course, always want to say thank you for joining us. We're so grateful for each of you and your commitment to making our communities more inclusive. The survey for this session should show in your browser when the webinar ends. It's only 5 questions. We hope you'll take a moment to give us your feedback. It helps guide us in this work and ensure that we are providing as much value for you all as we can. You'll receive an email in the next few days with a link to the recording, as well as we said, a list of resources, and the survey will also be linked there as well. I know your time is valuable and some of you have to jump off to attend to other work stuff or whatnot. But we really do hope that you guys will help us to guide this work moving forward. We hope everyone has a wonderful day and thank you so much for being here.